So, Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air, apparently. This is quite crazy, to be honest. This happened yesterday, it dropped, that he's back on the air. Disney has now caved to the backlash and has decided to basically frame his comments as insensitive rather than misinformation. Now, I think it's actually really important to note is that I don't think Jimmy Kimmel was fired for what he said. I think that they just used that as, a reason for the firing rather than his absolutely terrible viewership. Because that had absolutely just cratered, right? Like his viewership had completely tanked. And I think Disney were like, yeah, we probably just get rid of him now, to be honest. I am very, very surprised that they've chosen not to get rid of him. I think the likelihood is that there may have been some legal sort of discussions in the background. So we'll get to this. I don't think this is going to bode very well for them, and I'll get to it in a minute. Because effectively, his viewership's going to get worse. And I'll explain why in a minute. But before I do, please do hit subscribe if you enjoy this video. So, as this article says, Disney has caved to the pressure from Hollywood activists and liberal allies, announcing that Jimmy Kimmel will be back on ABC's late night lineup just days after putting the plug on his show. The Mouse House made no mention about the blatantly false claims Kimmel made regarding the Charlie Cook murder suspect, but rather focus on the sensitivity and timing of his remarks. The narrative sidesteps the real problem is Kimmel spreading blatant misinformation about a murder investigation, and it was never just poorly timed jokes. And the thing is, he wasn't fired for that. Like, he just wasn't. Well, I don't think so. I've explained. So Disney's official statement said, last Wednesday, we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return to the show on Tuesday. So it doesn't really say anything, basically. It's not. They don't really address it. But the situation is, and there's been a whole bunch of pressure from Hollywood actors and things like this. But this isn't going to go well because Nexstar and Sinclair are not going to show him, and they're one of the biggest sort of affiliate groups for ABC and showing Jimmy Kimmel stuff. So his viewership's going to get even worse. Like, it was bad before, but it's going to get even worse now. So Disney may want to move on from the Jimmy Kimmel scandal, but the two largest affiliate groups aren't letting it go. Nexstar Media Group has announced that it will join Sinclair Broadcasting in continuing to preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live across their ABC affiliates, even after the network formally declared the show's return on Tuesday night. So what that means is that for millions of viewers, the supposed comeback of Kimmel won't actually happen at all. Instead, the late night slot will be filled with local news or alternate programming in dozens of markets nationwide. So basically, this is the statement, from Nexstar. We made a decision last week to preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live following what ABC referred to as Mr. Kimmel's ill-timed and insensitive comments at a critical time in our national discourse. We stand by that decision, pending assurance that all parties are committed to fostering an environment of respectful, constructive dialogue in the markets we serve. In the meantime, we note that Jimmy Kimmel Live will be available nationwide on multiple Disney-owned streaming products, whilst our stations will focus on continuing to produce local news and other programming relevant to their respective markets. It's basically a boycott. They basically just boycott it. So, I mean, the viewership's going to get even worse. So Disney obviously might control ABC, but the affiliates hold the broadcast licenses. So that gives Sinclair and Nexstar the final say in whether a program airs in their local markets. So they've just tanked it. They've just gone, nah. See ya. Together, the two groups control roughly a quarter of ABC's household reach, meaning Kimmel's absence is not a minor thing. That's huge. That's a huge thing. So the FCC has only raised the stakes. Commissioner Brendan Carr has already hinted that offensive or misleading remarks could impact broadcast licenses. So it makes sense that the affiliates are like, yeah, nah, then we won't hire that. We won't air that. That's fine. Like, nah, we're good. We're good. And like I said, this is how bad it is, right? This is his viewership. This is why he was fired. It wasn't because of the language. He's being boycotted now because of the language. But it wasn't why he was fired. He was fired because his viewership sucks. I'm sure they thought, well, maybe if we bring him back, his viewership will be higher because of a bit of a controversy. But it's going to get even lower now. So funny. So funny. ABC's treated Jimmy Kimmel Live as a flagship program. But now two of the biggest affiliate groups are not going to air it. The flagship is just... I mean, it's an iceberg, isn't it? It's an absolute iceberg. And look at this viewership. Just what I mean. Like, this is bad stuff. And it's so funny. In January, right? Look at it. Look how it just... So, just tanked. It's just tanking. Like 2 million, nearly 2, well, like, I don't know, 1.7, 1.2, 1.1. And it just goes downhill. Oh, sorry, you can't even see the bottom, sorry. Basically, January started at close to 2 million. And then in August, we're at 1.1. Because he's out of touch. He's out of touch. People aren't interested in what he's selling. So basically, Jimmy Kimmel's back. But he's being boycotted. So, yeah, sure, Bob Iger, Disney, you might have reinstated his program, but you're going to want to quickly cancel it again because it's not going to get the numbers. So, I mean, if it controls 25% of the market, it'll be interesting to see how much it impacts the viewership because I think it has the potential to be even more. You know, yeah, it's 25% of the market, but it doesn't mean that 25% of market share accounts for just a quarter of Jimmy Kimmel's views. It could be more. Very, very funny. Very, very funny.